Welcome to this winter yin class. My name is Roseanne. I'll be your guide today. For this practice, we'll use a wall. So please have your mat coming off of a wall and any bolsters, pillows, blankets you would like to have to perhaps prop and find some ease in some of the pose so the body doesn't go too deep for your needs. And once you're there, lay down with your feet touching the wall. Soles of feet planted, back of body rounded. Feel the feet on the wall, especially that forefoot and the toes. You can start to wiggle the toes, fan them from the large toe to the baby toe and back again. Sense that surface, maybe scrunch the toes a few times. And then from here, come right on at the toes and press yourself away a little bit. So you'll move or scooch away from the wall slightly as those arms come overhead. Long body stretch, just the toes on the wall. Allow the front line to open as you breathe deeply. Press the toes into the wall. Stretch a little longer. And exhale through the mouth, as the arms circle round. Bring the hands palm to palm at the heart center, thumbs to sternum. And here I greet you and namaste. Let's take those knees in toward the chest to give them a little hug. So before we begin the yin, just a few circles in one direction, just to warm the back. And a few in the other. Again, to prepare the body, set those soles of feet down on the earth and allow that left leg to open up to the side. And then close the knees, the core. Inhale to allow the right leg to open and close. See if you can stabilize through the opposite leg. So one opens, the other foot really firms. So exploring our center and also the inseam of the leg. See how open it is today, or how tight perhaps. Just one more. Just to bring awareness to the pelvis. And hug those knees in, but wide this time to the outsides of the ribs. And lengthen the legs and bend. We're going to be working a lot with the inseams of the legs today. Lengthen and bend. So just prepare the body. Winter meridian lines, kidney and bladder. One more time, reach, extend. Then plant those feet, extend the arms from the shoulder, and allow the hips to drape left and right. We will move into the yin, I promise. Just after this. One final hug. And then plant the feet so that you can scooch yourself, or you could always get up. And come closer to the wall. So the feet land on the wall, knees bent, heels for most of us in line with the knees, knees in line with the hips. Wall frog, where we heel toe, the feet as wide as we can comfortably go to feel some stretch sensation through the inseams of the legs. for some reason you get here and you don't like it, another option would be to try a supported butterfly on the wall, where the feet come together and slide down the wall and the knees open. And you may need to be closer to the wall for this pose, or even have a bolster directly underneath the hips. I like to get up for this one. Bring your hips onto the bolster, legs swing up, bring the soles together and bend the knees. So this would be an alternative if you don't like frog. I like to highlight options, as we don't always have to be in the same pose, same target area, just a different way to get there. And several more minutes in this pose as we find stillness. If you can come into the present. Draw yourself into the body by sensing what there is to feel. Even if it's subtle. Notice any shifts and sensation in your experience. Soften the shoulders. Back of head heavy. Another point of focus could be the breath. As you inhale and exhale. Notice the natural flow. Even when we try to be still, there is movement there. Sense that inner movement, inner aliveness. Inhale here. Exhale fully. One more broad breath into the sides of the ribs. And exhale, maybe even stick the tongue out. Ah. From wherever you are, you can slowly walk the legs in or bring the legs together. If you have a bolster, If you were taking that butterfly variation, perhaps you remove that bolster from under the hips. Just allow the feet to plant on the wall. Maybe even firm them up for just a moment and soften them and firm them and soften. Notice if your breath starts to match this press, what might take place in the pelvic region. And let that go and slide one foot and then the other off, up and down the wall. Feet are feeling ticklish today. I can feel lots of sensation today. Or maybe very little as well. Just notice the subtleties. And pause with the feet up the wall for a moment. And then again, rebend those knees and take that right leg and cross it over the left one. I'm mirroring here. And decide where you'd like to land. Perhaps you want to stay just here with the knee open. Top foot needs to be flexed to protect that joint. You could practice opening and closing that knee a little bit just to see how the hip feels. If you need a little more warming in that region. And if you need more, most of us, if we scooch or bring our bottom closer to the wall, we can bring more sensation into that right hip and glute. So this is for glute, my T-band. If you don't like this, you could always wrap the hands around the bottom leg and pull it in. And we'll stay here for several minutes. This is one of the more relaxed variations of shoelace archetype in yin. Great if you find something like sleeping swan too much, or what you might know as pigeon. When we work at the hips, sometimes tension will creep into the neck and the shoulders, even to the face, and see if you can melt the shoulders down. Wiggle the jaw to release the face muscles. The back of the neck be long and breathe. Maybe if you need a point of focus, you might even count the breaths. About 10 to 20 more, depending on your pace. Try not to rush these breaths. How long can you healthily make them? And as you lengthen the breath, notice if there starts to become a still point. And this might be at the top and or bottom of the breath. If you go beyond 20 breaths, that's also okay. Let's see if you can slow things down. After your next inhale, perhaps exhale through the mouth, sigh, and assist that leg if you need with your hands to come off the wall. Maybe you lengthen it and place the heel on the wall. Just do what serves. And find a moment of quiet. And then change sides. That left ankle will cross. Again, flex through that top foot. Open and close the knee, perhaps, to explore the hip. The first few moments, use movement as a little self-assessment tool. So that you can really commit to the stillness once you find your edge, that point between effort and ease, where it feels sustainable, healthy yet challenging. So again, you can move that bottom closer to the wall if you need. And stay. This hip may feel different than the other. It's natural to have some imbalances. Soften your eyes and their sockets. Move the tongue around the mouth. Maybe swirl the tongue in one direction and the other. Switch to the bottom set of teeth. Circle. Switch directions. Ah. Let that go. Sink in. What draws your attention? Notice that sensation, as long as it's within your window of tolerance to do so. And even though your attention is drawn to a certain sensation, see if you can shift it into another part of the body and attend to somewhere with more subtle feelings. Notice if this shifts your experience. And let that go. And a third point of focus, we return to the breath for about 10 to 20 breaths again. Inhale 1. Exhale 1. Inhale 2. Exhale 2. And so on. Notice if you're still counting or if the mind has wandered, as minds have a tendency to do. The return is what matters. Noticing we've wandered away, returning home. Final inhale. Exhale, ha. As we again assist that leg, top leg, ha, to release, maybe lengthen up the wall. Heel plants. Arms soften. And just notice the side of the body. Before you replant the foot. Rotation here, any supine rotation of your choice. Perhaps that's with the knees side by each, where you allow the feet to slide down the side of the wall toward I'll do it this way, to mirror, left side. Or right side, rather. Better to start on the right. Apologies for digestion. Got confused because I was trying to mirror. So the legs could land on a bolster. Or the bolster could go between the thighs. You're looking for something that weaves the legs together, that creates a little bit of the opposite effect of that frog we did earlier, you might cross the right thigh over the left one and let the legs drape to the side. Again, the bolster could be underneath the thighs. Arms extend from the shoulder. Adjust as you need to feel comfortable. It's a short time here relative to the other poses. Really breathe into that liver side. Said we store anger in the liver. So notice if anything arises. Compress your organs here. Let the breath massage your insides. One more breath in. Exhale fully. Allow the legs to come back up the wall. Uncross them if they were crossed. And pause here. The moments in between, just as important as the pose is. As we continue to bring back our awareness into the body. A little microcosm of the macrocosm. Do you notice what's available? Not aliveness. Both inside and outside of your being. Let's take the legs the opposite way. And you could cross the thigh if you wish here. So you come down and ground the legs either on that bolster or to the side. Here. Feel that stomach and spleen side. Notice if you sense more or less compression on this side. And just make sure it's a healthy compression. If it's too much, bolsters come underneath the bottom leg or between the thighs. And the other shoulder, it can be lifted Nothing forced here. Lymph doesn't have its own pump, relies on the circulatory system and muscular movement and compression and release, as we're doing here, to flow. To refresh. A few more breaths. Last inhale. And exhale, ha, as you bring the legs back to center, feet to the wall. Uncoil if the legs were crossed. And just notice the body here on the floor. Feet supported on the wall, connected to the earth. Next, dragonfly. Bring the bottom closer to the wall. You may even, some of us will sit up instead of scooching. Bring the hips close to the wall. Lower ourselves down and swing the legs up. And from here, again, that kidney meridian, that inseam, open up the legs. If you don't like this, there's lots of options, but you could take this very same pose seated and have bolsters in front of you and lean over the bolsters. Your legs don't have to open very far. You can have bolsters supporting or blocks supporting the outer thighs here. Right? Could just be open about shoulder width apart even. We've already worked on this meridian line, but today we're just returning to it. Really getting into the kidneys. You engage in a lot of core exercises. This can feel nice. And effective core exercises, you'll tend to feel tightness in through kind of that center line as you zip up through your midline. This can really open and release that. One more inhale. And exhale, close those legs. And you could stay right here for the next pose, legs up the wall. But we do want to focus on the back of the leg. But some people will feel a stretch even right here through the hamstrings or the back line. So this could be enough. Also a nice inversion. But you could also bring your bottom closer to the wall for your legs up, just as we did earlier with the dragonfly. Could be again that you readjust because you may have found yourself moving away from the wall. So you could come a little closer. That might give you the stretch you're seeking. Or you might need to pull those toes toward your nose. So you can get off anywhere along the train here. Could stay here. Could stay here. You might engage in snail, or what is known as plow in active practice. So this one, I will show you from the side, but you don't really have to move. You might want to have bolsters above your head for your legs to land on. We need to take shoulder stand first for this variation. Otherwise, just stay where you were. The legs come up. Oh, and please watch. If you want this variation, we don't want to move your neck side to side. So watch first and then try it. So legs up, press through those upper arms. And from here, with knees bent or with legs long, you can bring them overhead. So remember, you could stay with an earlier option. Pull those toes toward the nose to any degree with the back still flat on the earth. Or again, here, the feet might land on bolsters. Knees, again, could be more bent. This tends to bring it into the back more. Legs long tends to bring it more into the legs, the back of the legs, the hamstrings. So you can play with how much knee bend or length you want, and that may shift your experience. If you are in plow or snail in yin, you'll feel a lot of compression, perhaps in the internal organs. As long as the breath still feels long, you may feel more congested, but still within your ability. You may notice a bit of compression in through the front of the neck, the thyroid, if you're over. If you're in legs up, it tends to be soothing for most of us. Anxiety relieving. Notice if the mind's getting involved, especially if you are in snail. Just notice any thoughts that arise and see if you can take a step back. Just notice what it says without really buying into it. Around 3 more breaths, depending on your pace. Long and strong. The final inhale and exhale. Ha. If you have legs up the wall, stay a little longer as people come out of snail. Hands will come to around the hips, around the sacrum area on the sides of the body, or sides of the back, rather. And bend those knees generously if needed. And lengthen the legs up with help of the hands. The core gets a little involved here as you inhale. And exhale to slowly lower down as those hands slide. Now more along the sides of the body. Lower, lower, lower. We all land in legs up. Maybe the heels come to the wall if you are pulling the feet toward your nose. And now we'll slide those legs down the wall. Maybe you crave a little knee hug. And then again, you can scooch yourself away from the wall so the feet are on the wall. And then roll over. You'll be facing that short edge of your mat furthest from the wall. And you could scooch yourself so that your feet kind of aren't on the wall anymore. Give yourself a little bit of space here and come into this Sphinx, or what could become seal. Pardon me, seal. And I'll show you from the side here if there's tension in through the lower back, especially if you were in Snail, because this would be kind of the counter pose to that. Widen the feet. That will make more space in the lower back. And then in terms of bolsters, this one's a little big, but you could put some sort of pillows between your chest and your forearms to really support you here. Could also, with or without that bolster there, widen the elbows or widen the hands. So again, for the first minute or so, play. May even have stacks of blocks for the head to come down on as well. If you're someone that does have a lot of room in the lower back, seal is when we're up on the hands, widen them out, turn the fingertips toward the sides of the room like flippers. But this can be a lot in a yin class because we're looking to not go to our max. Once again, even though it's from the saddle archetype, hits up the kidneys because there's some compression on them here with this arc of the back. Can you soften the shoulders? Especially if you're propped, see if you can relax them. You may notice the front line change. As all that webbing of connective tissue of fascia starts to uncoil, little fibers lengthen, change in the chemical reactions. In the tissues. So begin to open up to allow greater flow of nourishment, hydration. I say these things more because perception determines a lot of our experience. By thinking of it in this way, might release some tension, give you something to visualize. Allow the body to do its work. The mind get out of the way, or even assist the body. Let this be healing. A few more breaths. Final inhale. And exhale again, you can stick that tongue out. And perhaps lower, just get that bolster out and lower. Hands could even stay on if you have a nice slippy floor like I do. And just surrender to the earth. And if that bolster is still handy, you could even slide it in. Take the hands close to the upper ribs. Press yourself back, maybe into a brief child's pose. Hands could come over any pillows that you have. Just brief here. Those hands will plant, facing the short edge of your mat. Adjust your knees so they're under the hips. Maybe you flush a little bit. This isn't so much yin, but if you crave it, okay, do what the body wants. We stay in stillness in this tabletop and just feel or move a little. Flush things out. Then from here, swing your legs out in front of you to the short edge of your mat. And a little more for that bladder meridian line, even though we already hit it up in Snail, another of the caterpillar archetypes. So let's take that right leg, cross it over the left one. I'm going to come a little closer just because my mat's so dark. It might be hard for you to see. Let's just come a little closer for this. Cross that leg. Maybe the knees line up. You can flex through that bottom foot or relax it if there's no hyperextension in the knees. So as long as you don't kind of like, yeah, don't hyperextend. No other way to say that. Have a little blanket underneath the knee. And from here, lean forward. If it serves you to do so, maybe even a bunch of bolsters on your lap so that you can fold forward. Just again, be careful of that bottom knee with all that pressure. If you have a stack of bolsters and your upper body weight is kind of driving down, you want to make sure that knee is not hyperextending. So again, that little blanket under the knee could be useful for some. Even a small towel folded. Had our legs open a lot, so it's nice to have one of them crossed. But if the knees are not happy, change your position. been going back and forth a little bit through some of the meridian lines, so we won't be here too long. Let's see if you can sink in. More inhale. And exhale to begin to roll up through the spine if lowered. Remove any bolsters. That top leg remained crossed. Then extend the legs, hands behind the body, perhaps. Support you as you sense your right leg and your left leg. Right and left. And both legs together. Sit up tall. Other side. So that left leg will cross. If you want to, you could also stay to the inseam. Maybe at first you flex the bottom foot till you decide if that knee feels healthy. Again, little strip of blanket, little towel, whatever you need. Then you can relax the foot. Take bolsters. Change your mind at any time as to your body's position. But if possible, do that in the first, few breaths or first minute to find some outer stillness. Really breathe into the back of the heart. As the back of the ribs expand. Notice when you draw your attention there, how much is really moving, how much movement there is in your ribs when you breathe. The back moves just as much as the front and the sides. Three-dimensional breath. Notice this in concert with the back of the leg. When you breathe, does sensation change the back of the leg? Is it as if the leg's also breathing? I know that must sound strange, but we're playing with the mind here. Getting into the creative aspects of the mind. And fire different areas of the brain. to visualize, feel. Tends to be more soothing for the nervous system. These alpha waves of the brain tend to be activated during anything creative, any visualization. When we're inhale here. Then exhale, and start to roll back. Up. Remove perhaps any bolsters. Again, take your time to uncoil the legs. And hands behind you if you need the support as you sense the left leg, right leg, and both legs in union. Now, if you wish, for Savasana, it could be more in a meditative pose. Up to you. The wall is right behind you, so you might like to take a pillow or a little bolster. Usually a low one is nice for a lot of people. And bring your seat onto it. And you could sit in easy pose, sit with the legs crossed and back against the wall. You might even find here that you take a pillow and just put it behind the upper back. That helps. You can sit in a meditative posture. And again, if you don't like this, outstretched, maybe feet against the wall, as we did before. And you might just stay quiet here and breathe. If you're trying the seated variation, it's a perfect opportunity to engage in a little active meditation. I invite you to spread the fingers wide and then I'll come close just so you can see for this. Take your thumb to your index finger and thumb to ring, thumb to middle, thumb to ring, thumb to pinky, thumb to index, middle, ring, pinky, index, middle, ring, pinky. Could also do this on your back if you wanted. And then in your head or out loud, as we touch each finger, starting with the index, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, birth, life, death, rebirth, sa, ta, na, ma. So you can continue here in your meditative posture. It's just a reminder of that cycle of life, of seasons. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. And this again is good for the brain. Our hands are very sensitive, take up a lot of real estate in our brains. sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. Round three more. Sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. Inhale. Spread the fingers wide. And exhale, release. Move the hands if you need to. Give them a little wiggle. And from wherever you are, start to bring movements into the body. Maybe you're on the earth, you lengthen your right side and your left. Maybe you're seated, you roll the shoulders. Take a long body stretch or lengthen those arms overhead. The fingers are interlaced. Take them the other way. If you're on your back, join us in seated. As we lull the head to the left and the right, or if it's available to your neck, you might circle the head as long as there's no compression, not when we're moving, at the back of the neck. This full circle. No ending, no beginning. The cycle of life mirrors it. Circle the head the opposite way. Soften the jaw as you move through the head. When you feel even on both sides, drop the chin to center. Inhale as the arms reach up. And exhale, bring the hands to the forehead. May our thoughts be kind and originate from the heart. Bring your hands to the throat and the mouth. May our words be kind and compassionate. And to the heart, where that all comes from. Thank you for practicing with me today. Sat Nam.